What is going on, my Galaxians? A number of you in my last video had mentioned wanting me to show you how to set up a Uniswap liquidity pool. So let's jump in. I think one of the very first things you need to know is I am not an expert with liquidity pools. So much so that I was trying to figure out how to set my quote limits, which you'll see down here in the price range. And we'll kind of go over that in a minute here, okay? So my point being, try to do your own research, learn, not financial advice, all that fun stuff. So first off, providing liquidity has risks, okay? Significant risks. And what I mean by that is, when you usually provide liquidity, you usually provide like 50% of one token and 50% of another, or similar, okay? And so for Galaxis here, I bought up some of the Galaxis, and then I went ahead and provided my capital. So I provided like almost $11,000 of USDT here, and then provided, it was about 1.36 million Galaxis that I was providing. And so once you get your liquidity added in here, what you'll see is you'll see this exact page. So this is my little guy, basically. I like to think of it as an NFT, but basically Uniswap creates this, oh, what should we call this? Token pool kind of thing for you. And so that's basically keeping track of your tokens, your pool, so that when you remove it, Uniswap will basically kind of destroy this and give you back whatever tokens you have. Now, the benefits of providing a liquidity pool is this right here, claimed fees, okay? So you can see right here, 1% is basically what is charged in fees when people come to this pool and purchase Galaxis or sell Galaxis for USDT. Now, there's tons of pools out there. You can select basically any two kind of tokens to pair together. I specifically chose Galaxis and USDT because if you go to the site right here, CoinGecko, you can see on Bybit, that's what it's currently listed as, is Galaxis USDT. And I did this on Polygon. Why? Because the fees are so much cheaper from a gas perspective, right? When you do this on Ethereum, it costs like over $100 to create like your liquidity pool. On here, it was like, what, like 10 cents or something, right? To do it on Polygon. And so what you'll see as things progress is you'll see your percentages change. So you can literally see this in real time and watch it if you want to. And I would advise, if you're going to make a liquidity pool, definitely pay attention to where your numbers are. Because if things shift significantly, like let's say Galaxis goes from this whole 0.007 cent price, it goes up to like 5 cents. What can happen is basically you get impermanent loss, okay? And what that means is if you left all this in here and Galaxis shot up, what would end up happening is you would end up having just USDT. So this Galaxis number could end up going down to 0 because the price is jumping so high that people are buying all the Galaxis out of the pool, and then you're ending up with like none, right? So the reason you're getting a permanent loss is because if you would have just held this Galaxis token in a separate wallet and it shot up to 5 cents and then you sold it, you obviously would have made like 5 times more of the money or whatever it was, right? And so that's kind of the risk with some of the liquidity pools. You know, you definitely want to pay attention, but this is in about 30 hours or so. And so I basically have almost earned about 1% APR in a little more than a day. Okay, so after 100 days, I might have enough unclaimed fees that matches my liquidity that I provided, right? So it's a give and take. It's a plus minus. You have to kind of decide, you know, there's other pools. So some of the top pools on Uniswap, the number one is like USDC and ETH, right? So that's a lot more stable, a lot more secure, right? And that's why the fee there is only 0.05%. So really tiny fee. But still, with the amount of transactions, you're still getting a pretty good one-day APR. So you can actually look through this top pools on Uniswap if you were just looking to, hey, I want to try some liquidity. I want to try a pool that's not going to be as scary or possibly volatile. And you can scroll through here and kind of see which ones have like a pretty good APR, you know, listed for them. And then kind of see, what is that? ETH USDT. It has a 0.3% fee, which is pretty good. And people are earning about almost half an APR per day. So that's pretty good, right? If you compare it to my Galaxis one, where I'm earning maybe like 0.75 APR at the moment. And this has a little more risk. And what I mean by that is, you know, if Galaxis jumped, I'd lose out on gains. However, if Galaxis dumped, right, what could happen is I could end up with all Galaxis in here too. So that's what I mean by plus or minus, and that's why I say that you really want to kind of pay attention and watch. It's super simple to basically, you know, add liquidity into any of these. You know, you just go to pool and you can click new position and you choose which pair you want. So if it was the Galaxis one again that we were talking about, you click USDT and Galaxis. And what's going to happen is you're going to be able to go ahead and edit what tier fee you want. Now we get to do 1% for this because when it's more of an exotic pair, you can put the higher fee and people will of course like pay for that, right? Versus like the 0.00 or 0.05%, which is like for that ETH USDC pair, right? And so what you do is you're going to select your price range. So you have to decide kind of where you want your limits to be. And this is where I don't have like superb knowledge and skill, because I was trying to set my pool so that the price range was a little more narrow, so I wouldn't end up with all this USDT or all this Galaxis. But you know, I'm just a dumb Wookie and I'm just kind of playing around with stuff. I will say I did Gala Music, and was it ETH or something? And I made like 2,000 bucks in a month off of like that pool before I went ahead and removed my liquidity. Now that's what's cool. This is not locked up in any way in the sense that you cannot pull it out. You just literally click remove liquidity. It'll ask you how much you want to remove. You can remove all of it and you can pull all of this out. Okay, and it'll of course add the fees too. Now what you could do instead is you can either just collect your fees as well, so you don't have to like remove all the liquidity. You could just collect the fees. You could even add those fees back into the liquidity if you want to kind of compound. So that's kind of all the plus minuses of the Galaxis, or just pools in general. So again, I'd be really careful. Okay, if you do, I'd pay attention. I started out at about 45-55. Okay, 45% Galaxis, 55% USDT. It went all the way down to like 32% Galaxis, and then now it's back up to 48%. So it does go up or down. Once again, you can just kind of watch it. It obviously depends on how people are buying, you know, for the day, if you're going to see things kind of move. So let me know what you think. That's kind of how you set it up. It's pretty easy. I've never been the very first person to start a pool, so I haven't had to do the very initial pool creation. Just the one that I showed you where it's real easy to go ahead and put that in there and play around with the range. So I'm definitely going to keep trying to learn about the range a little bit more in case I want to remove this. Set my ranges a little bit differently and put it back in. But right now I'm totally comfortable with these numbers right here and just kind of watching it. And of course these numbers will go up and down with the price of Galaxis and USDT, right? So these numbers will slightly change here and there. They'll significantly change, you know, more so by many dollars when people are actually buying and or selling in your pool. And it depends how much of the pool you kind of own versus like how much, I guess, fees you'd be getting. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad deal. It's definitely better than just letting your money sit in a bank where it's earning like nothing for APR. So that's my opinion. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you play around with any of these bigger pools. I've considered that in the past. And as always, stay warm, Wookiees.